Hola! In this video, I'll be looking at some of the similarities and differences between La Mancha and Madrid. La Mancha is the town where Tia Paula and Agustina live, while Madrid is the city where Raimunda, Sole and Paula live. Raimunda and Sole grew up in La Mancha, but moved to Madrid in search of a better life. Let's start by looking at the differences between the town and the city. First of all, life in La Mancha is much more peaceful. For example, Agustina lives alone, helps Tia Paula and smokes cigarettes, whereas in Madrid, life is much more fast-paced and busy. We see that Raimunda works 3 jobs, including being a cleaner at an airport. Sole runs an illegal hairdresser's in her apartment, and Regina, who is an illegal immigrant, works as a sex worker. They all work and are very busy. Another difference is the music that people listen to. At the start of the film, when Raimunda and Sole are in La Mancha to clean their parents' graves, the musical genre La Zarzuela plays. This shows us that people in the town listen to traditional music, whereas during the party at Emilio's restaurant in Madrid, we hear English music by Saint Etienne being played. This shows that people in the city follow the recent trends and listen to modern music. In La Mancha, women wear modest clothing and wear dark and dull colours, whereas in Madrid, women wear very colourful clothes and sometimes show cleavage. Another difference is that in La Mancha, it is generally believed that ghosts exist, and that they return to the living world when they have unresolved issues. For example, during Tia Paula's funeral, Agustina tells the neighbours about a ghost that knocked on her door to inform her about Tia Paula's death. A neighbour then asks, "Pero el espíritu de Paula o de la otra?" Here she is asking if it was the ghost of Tia Paula or of Irene. However, in Madrid, people generally don't believe in ghosts. For example, when Irene hides herself in the trunk of Sole's car and knocks on the inside of the trunk to be let out, Sole is initially afraid, but she later realizes that Irene is not a ghost and that she hasn't died. Some more evidence of this point is that when Raimunda goes to the hospital to visit Agustina, and Agustina asks her to ask the ghost of Irene about whether or not her mother is alive, we can see from Raimunda's expression that she thinks the request is absurd because she doesn't believe in ghosts. Also, when Raimunda sees her mother for the first time in years at Sole's apartment, she immediately knows that she's a real person and she doesn't think that she's a ghost. Finally, people in La Mancha are very religious. We see many references to Christianity in the film, such as the opening scene, when the women are cleaning the graves of their relatives who have passed away on El Día de Todos los Santos, or All Saints' Day, which is a Christian festival. Agustina also talks about how she has already bought her own grave and cleans it regularly, and Sole explains to Paula that this is a tradition in La Mancha. Another reference to Christianity is Tia Paula's funeral. In Madrid, the only reference to religion is when one of Sole's clients comments that her son punctured the car tires of the school's priest. Next, we'll look at the similarities between the town and the city. In both places, people kiss each other on the cheeks to say hello and goodbye, but they do this more so in La Mancha. We see this method of greeting when Raimunda, Sole and Paula meet Agustina at the cemetery and when they visit Tia Paula at her house. Another similarity between La Mancha and Madrid is that in both places they eat traditional Spanish food. For example, in La Mancha, Raimunda, Sole and Paula eat barquillos at Tia Paula's house, and when Sole goes to Agustina's house for Tia Paula's funeral, she is offered cocido. In Madrid, the neighbor Inés gives Raimunda morcillas, chorrecillos and mantecados for her party at the restaurant, while the neighbor Regina gives her a large piece of pork. In both places, women show solidarity and help one another. In La Mancha, Agustina would bring bread to Tia Paula every day when she was alive, and when she is dead, she holds the funeral in her own home, even though she is not related to Tia Paula. In Madrid, Regina and Inez also give Raimunda food for the party at the restaurant. Regina also helps with Raimunda to move the freezer containing Paco's body to the river to be buried. Another interesting point of analysis is how Almodóvar uses transport in his films. Transport always appears in his films and in Volver we mainly see cars and buses. Buses could represent the working class or times when the characters aren't in control of their lives because they're not driving the bus themselves. For example, Raimunda has more control over her life when she drives her own car in La Mancha, but she is not in control in Madrid when she gets off the bus, meets Paula at the bus stop, and finds out about Paco's death and that he had tried to abuse her. These are just some of the main points that you could use in an essay comparing La Mancha and Madrid. If you can think of any other similarities or differences, it would be great if you can leave them in the comments. Gracias por ver este video, I hope it was helpful. For A-Level Spanish tutoring, you can email me at lastminutespanish@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions for videos, please leave them in the comments below. Adios!